Previously on Deacon of Biology.
A top NIH official admitted in a Wednesday letter that U.S. taxpayers funded gain-of-function research.
Should American tax dollars be used to fund gain-of-function research?
The Deacon found himself thrown in chaos, utterly befuddled by the swirling maelstrom of gain-of-function research.
Gain-of-function? What the hell is that?
So they might start out with a broth that's 90% mice and 10% human, and then they keep changing it till it's ultimately 99% human.
Like a bolt from the sky, Rand Paul's fiery flip ignited his doubts, and he began to stagger under the weight of misunderstanding. But all is not lost. Diving headfirst into the digital labyrinth of the interwebs, the Deacon discovered that gain-of-function isn't just a tool to construct viral superweapons. It's the lifeblood of countless breakthroughs, from engineering salt-tolerant crops that thrive in the salty marsh, to tweaking genes of lab mice so they can feel less pain, to harnessing these very techniques in the fight against cancer. The spectrum of possibilities stretched further than he could ever imagine. And yet, as he plunges deeper into the rabbit hole, new questions erupt like a volcanic blast. When did gain-of-function become such a lightning rod of controversy? Will the Deacon unearth its hidden origins? Or will the abyss pull him further into uncertainty? Origins of gain-of-function controversy. The term GOFR originated from two controversial research experiments involving mutated versions of the H5N1 avian influenza virus, wherein ferrets were infected with airborne viral particles. Okay. Here's a good date. In early 2012, an international group of influenza researchers announced a 60-day pause on research with highly pathogenic avian H5N1 viruses that could lead to enhanced transmissibility in mammals.
Oh my god, it is taking so long. You know what, I'm going to cut this section out and I'm going to summarize and just do it myself. I'm so tired of working with it. Wait, did he just move? Oh my god, Timmy, don't. Get on yourself. No, he didn't just move. What am I talking about? Oh my god, I'm going crazy. Okay. Nope.
That's right, dear viewer. You'd be forgiven for thinking that all this popped off during the 2020 pandemic. After all, our news feeds were full of examples such as
Gain-of-function research.
But, much like our simple-minded, naive, poor excuse of a man here, you'd be... Wait, he did move. Oh god, what'd I do? Oh, no, this can't be happening. Oh god, no, stop.
Ah, that hurts. Oh, God, look. Timmy, you can't sit there and cut out an entire segment and just spoon feed them the information. They've got to go on this journey with me. They have to learn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Look,
it's just that...
Lose the voice.
Fine, it's just that...
I've been slogging through this video edit now for 5 hours, and I just want to cut to the chase.
I don't care. Look, I really don't care. Just do the narrator voice.
Okay.
Make the edits.
Okay.
Finish the video and do your job.
Okay.
Can you please reset me?
Okay, but we're going to have some words after this. Yeah, go, tell me what to do.
Avian H5N1 viruses
That could lead to enhanced transmissibility in mammals. What the? Wait, I swear I was just somewhere else reading this. Oh my god, my wife's right. I'm going crazy. Okay, so anyways, it seems that the controversy around gain-of-function research actually kicked off around 2012, around 2 studies looking at H5N1. I wonder if we can find a little bit more information.
controversial H5N1 studies in early 2000s.
Whoa. Okay, so there's a lot here. So first off, Timmy worked...
Right. There's just too much here.
No, Timmy, that's not what I said. I said
To run the montage so the audience doesn't have to suffer through these papers with me.
you're a...
So smart and intelligent.
If you...
Start the montage now and I'll
I'm going to...
give you a raise.
Oh my god, wow. Are you serious, boss? Okay. Here it goes. I'm so excited.
Okay. All right, Timmy. We'll do it your way. Oh, my God. Our story starts with this guy. Wait. Oh, wait. No. Hold on. No, don't worry. We'll get to Dr. Fauci later. But for now, he's going on the back burner. Instead, our story begins with this guy. Chances are, unless you're a virologist, you don't know him from Adam's House Cat. But in 2011, Dr. Fauci lit a fuse that would become an international storm. Let me set the scene. Imagine a virus, not just any virus, one that primarily infects birds. But on rare occasions, it manages to jump to humans. And here's the kicker. When it does infect humans, the fatality rate is around 60%. That's H5N1. Back in the early 2000s, H5N1 was already a household name.
In China, health officials are scrambling to contain another outbreak of bird flu. Today, they announced a sixth death from the new strain, which is infecting 16 people. Experts believe it's being spread in direct contact with infected birds. So far, there's no evidence of humans.
While it had a terrifyingly high death rate, there was one small silver lining. It couldn't effectively spread from human to human. If you caught it, odds were that you worked on a farm, or you handled birds every day, or you're sitting outside on a beautiful sunny day, looking up at the birds on the roof, wondering how they fly about, when all of a sudden... You weren't going to get it from someone sneezing on you in a subway or a handshake in a grocery store. But that raises a critical question. Why? Why is H5N1 so terrible at spreading between humans? And more importantly, is it possible that it could evolve the ability to do so? Enter Dr. Fauci. In September 2011, he took center stage at the 4th Annual Influenza Conference to present his latest research. And what he revealed during his presentation would ignite a global debate that still rages to this day. Since the presentation wasn't recorded, we only have what the media reported Dr. Fauci as saying. Though the details vary from article to article, the overall consensus is this.
In September, one scientist made a stunning announcement. At a flu conference, he said he'd done a lab experiment that resulted in bird flu virus becoming highly contagious between ferrets, the animal model used to study human infection. It seemed that just 5 mutations did the trick.
In other words, Dr. Fauci had created a version of H5N1 that was now airborne. And the one thing in this life that you can count on, other than death and taxes, is that the media will put a spin on any story that it can. Just a few short days after the conference, this beauty of an article was published.
5 easy mutations to make bird flu a lethal pandemic. 5 mutations in just 2 genes have allowed the virus to spread between mammals in the lab. What's more, the virus is just as lethal despite the mutation. Then the researchers gave the virus from the sick ferrets to more ferrets. They repeated this 10 times using stringent containment. The 10th round of ferrets shed an H5N1 strain that spread to ferrets in separate cages and killed them.
Unsurprisingly, this scared the hell out of nearly everyone that heard about it, scientists and the general public alike. But not even a few weeks later, in November 2011, Science magazine would up the ante by running an article that sounded just like a script pulled straight out of a trailer from a dystopian thriller. Don't believe me? See for yourself. Locked up in the bowels of the medical faculty building, accessible to only a handful of scientists, lays a man-made virus.
that could change world history if it were ever set free.
What are you doing? Come on, Sharon, put the bags down.
Tom, this is serious. Of the known cases so far, more than half were fatal.
The real case fatality rate is probably lower because of an unknown number of milder cases that never get diagnosed and are never reported.
I know that, Tom, but scientists agree that this virus is vicious.
The virus is an H5N1 avian influenza strain that has been genetically altered and is now easily transmissible between ferrets.
The virus could escape from a lab, or bioterrorists or a rogue nation could use the published results to fashion a bioweapon with the potential for mass destruction. Scientists are extremely worried. Look what happened when I asked Dr. Ebright for a few words on the current situation.
Oh, you want to know what I think? Here's what I think. This work should have never been done. Never!
Scientists believe that if the pathogen emerged in nature or were released, it could trigger an influenza pandemic, quite possibly with millions of deaths. Don't miss what some are calling the movie of the flu season. Scientist breaks for media storm around controversial flu studies.
See, I told you. And just like that, a routine scientific study became an international firestorm. The findings were undeniably important. The results showed that with very few mutations, H5N1 could become airborne, settling a long-standing debate. But should this research be made public? On one hand, transparency is the backbone of science. Publish, replicate, and verify. But on the other hand, what if some bad actors use the findings to create a bioweapon? The scientific community now had to answer a very important question. Should a scientific paper be censored? This decision was given to the NSABB, the National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity. This group of biosecurity experts advises the government on research that walks a fine line between groundbreaking and dangerous. After reviewing the paper, they dropped a bombshell of a recommendation.
So the recommendations that the NSABB came back with was that these papers would in fact not be published in full. We recommended to the U.S. government that the papers be modified, the results and experimental details be redacted so that somebody with malevolent intent could not exactly replicate the results.
This decision further fueled the debate among scientists. Some, like Dr. Thomas Igsby, a bioterrorism expert, agreed with the decision.
It's just a bad idea for scientists to turn a lethal virus into a lethal and highly contagious virus. And it's a second bad idea for them to publish how they did it so others can copy it.
However, others like Dr. Peter Polizzi, a world-renowned influenza expert, strongly disagreed.
I also feel very strongly that it is an anti-scientific, anti-intellectual, anti-scholastic, scholarly argument of not publishing data in terms of these kinds of experiments, because I really think they are not as dangerous as many of us make them out.
So because of the intense debate within the scientific community, the rising fear in the general public, and the decision made by the NSABB, the influenza research community collectively agreed to a temporary ban on all work so they could decide on a clear path forward. And I can think of no one better to explain the reasoning behind the pause than the man I promised we would return to.
And now, emerging from the shadows, the mastermind that you feared, the man with a plan and a syringe in his hand, the one, the only, Dr. Fauci!
Thank you very much, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to go as quickly as possible through this because I really feel we need to get some chance to have some discussion. The influenza community voluntarily imposed upon themselves a pause of 60 days on any research involving highly pathogenic avian influenza virus leading to the generation of viruses that are more transmissible in mammals. The NIH and the CDC also agreed that we would refrain from these types of experiments and essentially abide by the moratorium that was signed on by a significant number of our extramural investigators.
Hey, TJ?
Yes, Timmy.
There's something that's been bothering me about this entire situation.
Really? What is it?
Well, how does a man like Dr. Fauci go from supporting this memorandum and saying things like this?
Now, there are a few ways to look at gain-of-function research. There's the naturally occurring mutations which naturally give gain of function, or what historically investigators have done is to actually create gain of function by making mutations, passage adaptation, or other newer genetic techniques such as reverse genetics and genetic reassortment.
To seemingly contradicting himself just a few years later when he says something like this.
You don't think inserting
China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function? At least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
Well, it is not.
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked. But like the rest of our audience, you'll have to tune in next time when we talk about the results of the memorandum and what effect that had on the COVID pandemic.
Oh, you're just gonna leave me hanging? This is bullshit.